Hey everybody, welcome back to a new episode of the Unrequested PD podcast. I'm your host, Francisco Faticati, and today I have the pleasure to have with us Dr. Mauro Tijerina the third. Sir, it's been such a long time that we've been wanting to do this. We've been wanting to get together. I said, I need to have you on the podcast. Time wasn't working. It didn't work for a couple of weeks, but we're here. We're here. It's great to have you, man.
Thank
Great
you.
to have you.
Thank you. I'm excited. Thank you for the opportunity. And even today, a veces no iba a jalar. No iba a jalar hoy,
Yeah.
pero yes, I'm excited. So thank you again for the opportunity to be here
No,
with
thank
you.
you for joining us. And dude, you have such an amazing story. So
Thank you.
I wanna start with that. I wanna know, and I want people to know who Dr. Mauro Tijerina is. Like, how do we go from the kid who played soccer in high school to Dr. T?
Um, it's a story that we all in my team es a cliché, pero es la historia del niño que viene del barrio. Y I know today we know it as grit.
Yeah,
Grit. It hasn't gotten traction, pero grit de que statistically, no deberíamos estar aquí,
yeah,
pero we had very good educators.
for sure.
I recall this amazing teacher I had, Ms. Del Pino, my RLA teacher,
Yeah,
high school RLA teacher, English teacher, I'm sorry. Pero la historia es como la de muchos I come from this very small community known as Little Mex.
yeah.
Little Mex, Alamo. I was that typical student que no querías, que sabías que estadísticamente, if you saw me on the piece of paper,
The
I
kid
was,
that people wouldn't necessarily want in their class. Let's say it
yes,
how it is.
algo
Yeah,
así, sí.
that people wouldn't pick. That people wouldn't say, you know what, I want this one.
Sí, porque, and in being in this business, because it's tough. It's
Yeah,
tough, and the demand for on the accountability aspect, on the performance. But you look at the what we got to work with, and it's
yeah,
tough. So I was that kid. Um, But I'm gonna fast forward really quick to the high school years. High school, yeah, you start looking into you want to go to college.
yeah,
You want to go to college. And I want to tell this story, but I'm not gonna mention names. I am not gonna mention names, and it's a very unique story, I think, because it was our journey to.
Are you talking about the LRC?
I'm talking about the LRC. I'm talking about the LRC. Um, so really quick, so we're in the LRC, and it's all these students who are undocumented.
Yeah,
So we're trying, all the students that were undocumented in the midst of students who are
yeah,
legally supposed to be here
yeah,
or citizens.
right.
And I recall, pues they're helping us with the financial aid, this thing called FAFSA. Me being ignorant, pues, there's this section that requires you to input your social security.
Yeah,
So I'm inputting my school ID.
the number I know.
It's a number I know. Y yo creo que levanto la mano, consejera, ma'am, esto no jala, it's not working, it's not moving. And everybody's done. Yo todavía no acabo porque pues no jala eso. Se acerca la consejera,
Sí.
se acerca a nosotros. Y nada más creo que dice ella, se acerca, she leans down y dice, shh, you're social. Pero no lo hizo en mala onda, pero toda la gente se dio cuenta.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Toda la gente se dio cuenta que no tenía socios o y la historia es un poco más de eso. A lo mucho dio a entender, no vas a ir al colegio, pero tú puedes hacer esto.
Yeah,
O sea, puedes hacer diferente
yeah.
carrera porque ustedes la hacen muy bien.
Mm-hmm.
En ese entonces, I didn't know I had been humiliated.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's very few people know this story, pero que you're humiliated. And you think that you have friends,
Mm-hmm.
pero me acuerdo que yo me levanté y my shelter was Ms. Delpino.
Mm-hmm.
So I recall gravitated. It was during it was during lunch. I gravitated towards her class. She was in her class. Y me acuerdo que sí preguntó. She was this white lady.
Yeah.
I don't know what she was on, but she was always very happy,
Yeah.
very positive.
Yeah.
Y me mira, and I go in there. Y me dice, hey, Mauro, so what college are you going to? Y mi mente digo, esta está loca, no, yo no voy al colegio, yo me voy a regresar para atrás para México, I'm gonna work. Este, pero ahorita as an adult and as an educator
Mm-hmm.
myself, I look back and I'm like, she wasn't asking me, are you going to college?
Mm-hmm.
She asked, what college are you gonna
Mm-hmm.
go to?
See.
Y le dije, no, ma'am, I'm not gonna go. I'm gonna go back to Mexico. I'm gonna go work, blah, blah. Me dijo, no, sir. You're gonna come back
Yeah.
and we're gonna look into it. And together we found out that there was this thing called TASFA
See.
for undocumented
Mm-hmm.
students in Texas high schools
Right.
that that would allow us or give us an opportunity
Mm-hmm.
to monetarily be able to attend.
Yeah, and you would think that these are things that are our counselor that was the financial aid
Yes.
counselor would have known, like or at least been able to guide us in that direction because that didn't happen because I remember being there. I was right next to you,
Yes.
and when she whispered, "Hey, you don't have a social, you're not going to college,"
You're
and I
not
said,
going to
"Yeah,"
college.
and
Yes.
I
I
was
didn't
like,
want to say that, but you.
"No, no." The thing is that um, again, I don't hate the person. I don't hate the lady. I we ended up going to college. We're doing our things, and we found different ways. Like we had that grit that you talk
Yes.
about because we wanted to do something. But I also remember um, there was a college trip for kids for kids, undocumented kids
For
or kids,
undocumented
yeah,
kids.
without a social security number. And I remember when we got on a bus, and
Yeah.
they took us to the university, and she kept whispering the same thing. But again, it's more of a I don't know if they get the training to work with our type of population, or at that time I don't think they had the training
And
to work with us because I don't think the realization of the statistic was for people to go to college. I think it was just more of a they're here, they're gonna graduate, they're gonna get a diploma, they're gonna go into the workforce. So I don't think they had the
and now being on this side and the education side, it goes back, yo digo, capacity. I'm not now judging her as an adult, as a professional. No,
mm-hmm,
she failed a lot of students. I think on our end, we were lucky that we had again grit, because that could have been my justification as to not going to
mm-hmm.
college. You know
Yeah,
what?
it
I
could have
can
been.
go to college.
Yeah, it could have been.
I
Could
can.
have been.
So how many other kids or students did she tell the same thing?
Yeah.
¿Sí me
Mm-hmm.
entiendes? So a lo mejor no había tanta información. Y no había tanta información because I recall moving on to the university,
Yeah.
I wanted to be an FBI.
Yeah.
So I followed the political science. Y yo me acuerdo que being a junior in college, I was offered an opportunity in Washington to do an internship in the FBI. And my professor informs me that I get accepted, but then they need to do a background check. And he requested my social security number.
Yeah.
And I tell him, le digo, sir, I don't have a social security. And he
Mm-hmm.
was dumbfounded. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so how are you even here?
Yeah.
How are you even here? Again, the lack of knowledge that it's not only American citizens
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
attending
Or I don't know if it's the lack of knowledge now, but it was definitely the lack of knowledge back then.
back
Again,
then.
and these are things that we don't normally share. But I'm gonna tell you a story about my first day in orientation in the university. I get accepted to the university. I go, so it's orientation day, and everybody's at the computers, and same thing, man. Like same thing, and just to kind of emphasize on the things that some of the kids go through. Some of the kids have to go through this every single year. Like we have to do better by people.
Yes.
Um, Sat there and orientation. In order for you to move on to the next page, you had to enter your social security number, dude. So I raised my hand. I thought I was in class again. So I raised my hand. Can I go to the restroom? Dude, I didn't come back. I
See?
didn't come back.
Wow.
Dude, I don't want to go through that thing all over again. Like I didn't want to go through it again to say, hey everybody, I don't have a social security number.
Yeah.
I didn't want to go through it, so I just didn't come back. I had to do the process a different day. I had to find, the different ways. So, but again, things that people have to deal, kids have to deal with every single day of their life. So I think we all have to do better in that aspect. We have to be able to advocate for kids. We have to be able to better our systems so that they don't have to go through that. Because it's a crappy feeling. It
Yes,
is.
it is.
Yeah.
It is. It is.
Yeah, yeah. So how do we get to Dr. Mauro? Like, what motivates you to keep going? Like, what are the things that um you got your master's and then you said, you know what, I'm going to do a doctorate degree. Like, how does that happen?
My dream had always been a master's degree. That was like I was like, that's the epitome of success. You
Mm-hmm.
get una maestría. But I'm gonna be very honest with you. One of the most difficult degrees for me was the bachelor's degree.
Yeah.
The bachelor's degree. Ya cuando acabé el bachelor's degree, being in education, the reason I went for a master's in leadership was because I was that type of a teacher that was very involved.
Mm-hmm.
As a teacher, I had the opportunity to create this club where we had the Continental Club. We traveled,
Yeah.
pero working with different leaders or for different leaders, different principals.
Mm-hmm.
Pues you have the ideas, the energy. You want to do a lot of things, but it's up to the principal to say
Mm-hmm.
yes or no. So I wanted to be in a position that I had the economic power, to be able to say yes, yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes, move on. Llévalos que viajen,
Mm-hmm.
because for people like us, or for everybody, this is not just like us, for everybody, most of us Latinos, or but you look at the RGV, it's 93% Latinos. So
Right.
we're sheltered. We don't see
Mm-hmm.
the reality of the USA.
Mm-hmm.
¿Cómo está Estados Unidos? So
Mm-hmm.
many of our students, they'll go out and they come back not because their intellect is not at the par
Mm-hmm.
of their counterparts, their classmates. It's because of the culture shock.
Yeah.
So once they see that they're a minority,
Mm-hmm.
so they have that culture shock,
Mm-hmm.
homesick, y se regresan
Mm-hmm.
muchos. So I started the masters, y se me hizo muy fácil. Se me hizo, hey, ya, before you knew it, ya lo había acabado. En ese tiempo, pues tomaba 2 años, ahorita un poco más, todavía un poco más fácil, yo digo.
Sí.
Tú lo puedes acabar en un año, creo. Desde 2 años, y before you knew it, lo acabé y dije, wow, ya, I'm done. So I think what took me to the doctoral was, I think, shouldering with people that had that were either getting their doctorate or
Yeah.
had a doctorate. Y te lo digo, es verdad. You look at the studies. Ahorita dice, son 4 chavos con ambición. Tú llegas ahí, te juntas con ellos, tú vas a ser el quinto con esa ambición.
Mm-hmm.
Son 4 sin metas. Tú llegas ahí, tú vas a ser el quinto
Mm-hmm.
chavo sin metas.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a lot of it had to do with the people that I was associating with.
Sí.
They all had a doctor, so it piqued my curiosity. Hey, pues, what do you have to
Mm-hmm.
do?
¿Y por qué yo no?
¿Y por qué yo no?
Yeah.
Ándale.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
For
I
sure.
think y ya cuando lo comencé, pues es como cualquier otro. It's not a doctorate. It's not a measure of your brightness. I think it's a measure of your commitment, your hard work. I think that when people commit to it, hey, y ahorita estamos aquí.
Sí. Yeah, no, I'm telling you, man. Like that's so inspirational. A lot of people need to hear your story. A lot of people, kids, need to hear the things you went through and where you're at now. Because you never know. We have kids in our classrooms who are hiding, who are going through this oppression, who are going through all these things that they never get to hear a success story from someone like them. And I know we hear it all the time that we need role models that look like us, but it's not just about looking physically like us. It's about thinking like us, speaking like us. It's about having the same culture like us, having the same breakfast as us. Like
Yes.
it's not about just that they look like me. It's about how do they reflect with me, or how do I reflect in them. It goes deeper than that. Especially, you talked a little bit about the area, the Rio Grande Valley, and a lot of people don't realize that this is a naturally bilingual culture. And when I say bilingual, I don't mean like being able to master two languages at the same time. Like I think the area is filled with bilingual first language learners, the kids who grew up with two languages. They didn't learn just Spanish and then got really good at Spanish and then transition to English, or learn really good English and then transition to Spanish. That never happened. Like a lot of our kids, my kids, for example, they're learning both. So they'll mesh words and sentences because that's what they know. And there's no education that geared towards them. Like their brain is not a simple monolingual brain. Their brain is a bilingual brain. It's just dual. Like it goes
Yes,
back.
naturally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it goes natural. My kids don't know what ironing means. They call it planchaing. Like
Planchando.
say, hey, tapain, those words because that's what they've been hearing. So it's a definitely a very specific area, and people need to hear stories like yours. But we're here to talk about education and leadership, man. That's one of the areas that I'm really interested in because we see the things that you do with your campus, and you're really good at social media. So if you haven't followed Dr. T, it's I'm gonna put the link, or not the link, but the type that the his handle right here for TikTok. I think is at Dr. Tijerina.
Yes.
So follow him on TikTok. He has a lot of things, shares a lot of things, but I want to know, like, how do you, because you came to a campus, right? You started at a new campus, and we don't have to say names. You started a new campus. How do you establish a culture, or the culture that you want? How do you decide what that culture looks like, and how do you push it out to people?
Culture. I'm a student of Kurt Lewin. Este, I follow his work, and he's a father of uh, organizational change. What do you need to do to change an organization,
Mm-hmm.
specifically culture? And he gives two key elements amongst those: always approaching regardless of the situation, regardless of the dire need of change. Mutual engagement coupled with a shared diagnosis. Mutual engagement. Involve your key stakeholders in the change. In education, it's like your leadership team, the key stakeholders.
Mm-hmm.
Este, so it has to be mutual and it has to be shared. And it must. I know that the the organization that I joined required a lot of a dire need to address the culture.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the background that I had in culture, and the advantage that I had was that I the dissertation that I did was in addressing culture,
Okay.
as the specifically commitment and citizenship behaviors.
Mm-hmm.
So
How do you define citizenship behaviors?
citizenship behaviors are those behaviors that your staff engages in that are not part of their official duties, but
Okay.
they're willing to do because they know that they will it will benefit the organization as a whole.
Makes sense.
Example, hey, we have a Saturday academy.
Mm-hmm.
Your contract doesn't say you have to be there, but you know what? If you're there, it benefits the students.
Yeah.
Parades, after school, whatever it is that's going to benefit the organization.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
Mm-hmm.
that's that. Pero what I've learned is that a significant number of people. You look, ahorita education is transitioning into the business aspect in a way.
Mm-hmm. No,
So
it is. It absolutely is. Student attendance reflects how much money you get. It's a business.
bueno, yeah, so
It is what it is.
y ahorita a lot of our parents, pues they have options. They have options. They don't like your school, they can go anywhere else. So what is your school offering that makes it stand out over its neighboring schools?
Mm-hmm.
So ahorita es well we incentivize many other things that our students uh, engage in. So
Mm-hmm.
our priority at our campus is focused on making sure that attendance is high,
Mm-hmm.
that we minimize behaviors, and that we recognize academic performance.
Yeah.
I can tell you that a year from now, ahorita cumplí hace unos cuantos días, cumplí un año, Ari. Un año. And I
At
can
the
tell
actual
you,
job?
yes,
Nice, congrats.
un año, y well, man, we're doing way better. We're not where we need to
Awesome.
be, but we are doing way better. But I'm blessed with a very good leadership team.
Yeah. Well,
That
and it's not like if you can completely change everything in 1 year. uh, Um, it's more of a systemic change than anything else, and mindset shift than
and you
anything
hit it,
else.
mindset. No sé si te acuerdas, when we were both soccer players, we played
Yeah.
soccer, y había this belief, this creencia, 90% mindset, 10%.
Sí. Physical.
Es verdad. It's,
noventa
it,
por ciento mental, 10% físico.
sí,
Ujú.
ándale, y si es verdad, se la tienen que creer. This new study que just came out, in education is not as a report, but it's more than that. You can bring the best individual with a doctorate degree, teachers with no, it's not gonna work if the students don't believe in the teachers. Why?
Yeah.
The the biggest indicator of student academic success was a student believing that this teacher believes in them.
Mhm.
Report. Statistically, many, not many, educators, some educators look at the student, single family, the SES, and they automatically will justify, well, they can't perform because look at what they're coming.
Sí.
So itself, ya perdimos ahí. So
Ujú.
tú te la tienes que creer. And I tell my staff, my colleagues, we are a solution oriented
Ujú.
person. Aquí necesito soluciones.
Sí, sí, sí.
Aquí no me vengas a decir el por qué Mauro no puede
Ujú.
hacer academic succeed.
Ujú.
Aquí vamos a ver qué podemos hacer para que Mauro
Ujú.
pueda.
Yeah. Yeah. Sí, 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 because a lot of times we forget that educational equity is not about identifying that they can't. It's about building the steps so that they
Yes.
can. It, earlier you mentioned that education itself, like how people have options, right? I heard this story the other day, and it was so powerful because one person went to visit another campus, and one of those new pop-up school districts that take your kids,
Yes.
one of those, and um, and the person says, "What are you doing that all of our kids want to go to your schools?" And the other person responds, "What did you stop doing that your students want to come to mine?" Like, and that's like, whoa, like wow, that's powerful. That's powerful. But again, we're not gonna get into the politics of it. But those pop up schools are sometimes handpicked, and
Yes.
but it's I don't know. It's sometimes in public ed we have to go above and beyond to service our kids because we have kids with different needs, and we have to make sure not just that we know that they have needs, but make sure how to address them. I think that's the biggest issue, that a lot of the times we identify things and we put labels on people. We say these two letters, that's that kid,
Ándale.
but we fail to provide people with the actual skills to be able to provide those kids with the ability to succeed. Like the label doesn't mean anything. Yeah,
Yes, sir.
yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
Mostly, and really like, por ejemplo, tú mirabas a Mauro, Mauro era at risk, Mauro era, and that time era ahorita we know him as emerging bilinguals, era
Mm-hmm.
LEP, or
Sí. Mm-hmm.
or,
Low English proficient. Mm-hmm.
ándale,
Limited English proficient. Yeah.
massively low. Yes, I found out I was poor. There's poverty based on the TASA and the FAFSA, and then
Sí.
there was the Mauro family. Like, we were poor. But estaban los pobres. I'm like, well, for us, these guys are
Sí.
are winning.
Tienen feria.
Tienen feria. ¿Dónde estoy yo? Yo estoy abajo, a ver abajo. Pero algo que quería decir es, now, just because we were able to, I'm not saying we made it, but we were able to be in this position. It doesn't mean like everybody else can. I know I've had colleagues who say, "Well, if I could, I worked in the fields. If I could, they can't."
Mm-hmm.
No, it doesn't work
No, it
this.
doesn't work that way.
No, it's not. So I want to be very clear.
Mm-hmm.
It goes back to equity.
Yep.
And that's the reason when I mentioned grit, it hasn't gotten traction, but grit, I think yo no quería ser pobre. I didn't want to be poor anymore.
Mm-hmm.
For me, the solution out of where I was an education. That doesn't mean it is the only solution. For me, it was.
Mm-hmm.
But just because I am here, I cannot sit here and say, you know what, just I made it, I struggled, I did this, I worked this, everybody else can. No,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't work. So my advice for those in this sector of education is approach everything with equity and not
Yeah.
and be very clear about equity and being equal.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Este, so
Yeah, man. I think, dude, and we're getting super deep in this topic, but this is something that for me resonates a lot. Like it just I'm really passionate about something like this topic because I know what it takes. A lot of people see people in positions, and usually the comments, it must be nice. It must be nice. No, it's not nice. Like it took a lot of work.
yes,
Like it's not nice. It took a lot of work. Well, it's nice now, but the way wasn't. But also the people who are in those positions. Not to say if I did it, everybody else can do it, because um, when you're in a specific position, once you reach a specific level in the work that you want to do, and it doesn't have to be in education, anywhere else, you enjoy some type of privilege. And it's not about showing off your privilege, but it's about how do you use that privilege to open the doors for people behind you. Like, how do you use that privilege to say, I'm here, move up with me. I'm here. Let's come and do this together. Because it's not about just what you can do and what you were able to do. And that if they can't do it, it's not because they don't want to. It's because those doors of opportunity haven't opened for them, man. Like, what are the things that we are doing to be able to help and use the privilege that we have to help people, to help people
yes,
do
sir.
better things. It's just it's telling you this. We're gonna go super deep into this.
No, sí, no, ah, man, we go back. Guess seventh grade, almost
Eighth grade.
eighth grade, eighth grade.
Eighth grade. Eighth Solis Middle School.
Yeah. Shout out for that school. I recall when we were there. It was literally we got a letter. Don't send your kids there. Y ahorita, it's a very good school,
Yeah.
A-rated school, top notch. So shout out to the administration team, the teachers there. They're doing a
Nice.
phenomenal job en esa escuela.
Sí.
They've completely turned it around.
Nice. Nice.
Yes.
That's good. That's good to hear. That's good to hear. Um, Now I'm interested to know, like, because you're talking about how that school turned around, but I want to know how how do you as a leader, because you're a campus leader. I don't know if we mentioned before, but Dr. Mauro is a proud principal of a middle school. Um, how do you as a leader help change the entire mentality? Because you said it earlier. You mentioned that you have to work on everybody working in what they do, but sometimes you don't get the people.
Yes, sir.
So what do you do?
So, I'm a very ambitious individual. Yo puedo trabajar con el que sea. Doesn't doesn't matter. How do you, if your question was, how do you turn it around?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How do you turn around?
You have to address culture. Culture is like there's various elements when we as leaders we have our holy grail is a school that is academically performing high.
Mm-hmm.
And in our quest to do so, we look at a repertoire of elements addressing students, teachers, parents. Pero you can do all these if you don't address culture and also address it the right way. So, for example, one of the tasks that I did arriving at our campus was tackle culture.
Mm-hmm.
and to drive a culture of ownership and accountability, and for everybody to understand that they bear responsibility to exhaust every and any avenue to provide equity so that our students can succeed not only academically,
Mm-hmm.
after high school,
Yeah.
in the real world. And in doing so, it's building capacity, building teacher capacity. That's the next one. Once you can get them to buy in
Mm-hmm.
to that philosophy of ownership and accountability,
Mm-hmm.
it's not it. I want everybody to be clear. Like when I like if you follow me on TikTok, I do all these things for our students, for our teachers.
See, I'm telling you, you
Pero
celebrate a lot.
pero I want everybody to understand. Don't confuse it as the key to changing the campus. Cheerleading. No, it's about once you get the buy-in and the vision and start tackling the culture, then build the capacity. That's the key. Building teacher capacity to
Mm-hmm.
be rigorous and to be able to manage a classroom.
Mm-hmm.
That's I think the key. When you build capacity with or without me, that campus will go. That's my goal. With or
Mm-hmm.
without me, that campus continues moving in the direction. And for them to say, no, this is the way we do things here.
Yeah.
And then this
Mm-hmm.
building leaders within
Mm-hmm.
our our teachers. And it's harder, more difficult said done. Pero my advice is for if you want to change, really change
Mm-hmm.
an institution, is you gotta first address culture. Second is like build the capacity. Once you can build capacity within your teachers, they would run. They know you no longer have to hold their hand to do things that they're expected to do, but they don't do.
Yeah.
They would do it on their own.
Mm-hmm.
They will seek their information on their own. They will build their colleagues, the new people coming in on their own
Mm-hmm.
because that's the expectation.
Yeah.
That's the culture that
Mm-hmm.
you place there.
Yeah. And it's great that you mentioned it because very recently I reshaped the way that I see culture. And one of the things that has been in my head when it comes to culture is that I don't want people to follow me with fidelity. I want people to follow me with integrity. Like not follow me when I'm there. Follow me when I'm not. Like do things when
Yes,
I'm not there. Like
yes.
it's about you believing that the system works and using it and continuing.
Now you mentioned that, yes, many people confuse and you know in leadership, there's a repertoire of leadership styles. Está el authoritative, and many institutions are doing well driving the authoritative leadership. But once that authoritative leader leaves, esa
It's over.
institución se cae. It's over.
Mm-hmm.
So no, you mentioned leading not with
Not with
fidelity,
fidelity, with
integrity.
integrity.
Yes, esté yo ahí o no esté ahí, tú sabes que es bien y qué
Mm-hmm.
se tiene que hacer,
See.
and how to venture the new people coming in. So tiene que ver mucho eso, este, because many institutions drive performance through fear,
Mm-hmm.
and fear will only hinder innovation. So
Mm-hmm.
estamos que entender que in order for if you want to take that school to the next level, tiene que haber mucho liderazgo que uses como líder de esa institución.
Mm-hmm.
Y si te tienen miedo y hacen las cosas por miedo, a la, a- no vas a llegar al potencial que puede llegar esa
Mm-hmm.
escuela o esa
See.
institución.
But how do you handle or how do you balance innovation and accountability? Because I can let my teachers explore if I were a principal, not a principal, but if you know, and do what you feel is right for kids, and how do we measure success? And how do you balance the?
Pues tiene que haber un balance y ahí está la clave and there's so many leaderships, como por ejemplo, este nuevo liderazgo, acaba de salir esa parte, pero ya sí existía ese tipo de
Mm-hmm.
liderazgo, ese adaptive leadership. Ahorita el que está, el que es, what everybody's pushing the transformational leadership, but it goes, it is not, you cannot allow an educator to run. I don't know if I got your question right. Wild and hey, do if you believe no, because in the first place, if you were placed there, was because something wasn't right. Maybe they every teacher that I've worked with wants to do right for the student.
Sí.
Every
Mhm.
like I no he tenido uno que diga, sabes que I want them to fail. No,
Mhm.
they just do not know how to do it. So if you run with that philosophy, okay,
Mhm.
just explore, go. No,
Sí.
you can't because in the first place, was they weren't getting the the results. So you have to provide them a blueprint through the type of culture you are wanting to drive. In this case, ownership and accountability. Having metrics to measure their
Sí.
success or growth, student success, student growth, academic success, todo eso. You have to have, and that goes back to capacity. How are you going to measure academic success? So, for example, like on your end, like how do you all measure?
But I think outside of measuring academic success, we abide by state standards. I think our measurements of success are the state's measurements of success.
And you know that the state measurements of success is cada.
Sí.
So how do you know that you're on the right track? And I've worked in cuatro distritos, y no district has ever like broken it down to where you know you're on the right track where you're weekly looking at data
Yeah.
and with fidelity, disaggregating data
Sí.
and asking the right questions to see because data is an opportunity. Like, we look at data and data most times doesn't look good and como que, pero data is an opportunity for us to it's a learning opportunity. What is it that we're not doing right, and let's do it right with a right action plan. Porque si nos esperamos a lo que es típico, traditional, let's wait for the benchmarks. And you're waiting 3 meses para poder saber si lo que hiciste todo en 3 meses estuvo
Mhm.
bien.
Sí.
I think that's where we're failing.
Sí. Now I know I'm gonna put you in the spot. And put you in the spot. A couple of seconds. If you were to talk to a person who's willing or wanting to go into education and leadership, what are the 5 pieces of advice? Maybe five is too much. 3 pieces of advice that you would give them.
Leadership. Okay. My first advice is if you have a
Don't
significant
do it.
if you have a significant other, talk to your significant other.
Yeah.
Why? Uh, this is not an 8 to 5. You can make it. Don't get me wrong. I have a lot of colleagues that will go either at 6 y se van a las 7. But it's not about quantity.
Sí.
It's
Mm-hmm.
about quality.
Yeah.
But my first advice is talk. If you have a significant other, talk to that significant other because it's a commitment.
Mm-hmm.
And in this business, there's a lot of things that happen. And if you're either a principal or an assistant principal, you bet that if the situation requires you, you're gonna be there till 6, 7,
Mm-hmm.
8.
Sí.
I've been there, 9.
Yeah.
Este,
Oh, that's a good one.
so first advice, if you're wanting to go into this, is you gotta understand that it's a commitment and that you need the support of your significant other.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, I went in here because I wanted to be in a position that I could change
Sí. Sí,
and
sí,
have
sí.
a deeper impact in the lives
Mm-hmm.
of students. Y ahorita I'm able to make a lot of push forward a lot of initiatives that will help our students
Right.
versus when I was a teacher. I was
Sí.
limited as to what I could and could not do. I had
Mm-hmm.
the idea, but most often it would be shut down. No, it's
Sí.
too risky. Or it's too. Y ahorita ya puedo. But my advice would be that the first is
Yeah, that's a good one.
second advice is you gotta love this. You have to know your why. Why? If it's for the money, if it's for the title, you're in the wrong place. Just like teaching is, you're never gonna get monetarily compensated for what you
Enough.
do
Mm-hmm.
as a assistant principal, or any type of leader within
Right.
the institution. Nunca vas a no. So my advice is, do it for the right reasons. Many people just do it because of the title,
Mm-hmm.
and hence we see the outcomes. They're not. doing this with integrity,
Mm-hmm.
and hence they're failing our students. And so tienes que entender tu why. What's your why?
Mm-hmm.
And third one, you asked for three, ¿verdad?
Three.
It's capacity. I'm gonna tell you why. In this position, you have to know policy and law to make the right choices. You have to know a lot of things. So the actual schooling of it, it's not gonna teach you all that.
Mm-hmm.
So if you generally want to do your best, see it as your responsibility to go after your job and
Mm-hmm.
learn.
See.
Many people don't have the capacity to be here,
Yeah.
and I've seen a lot of people shouldn't be. They're just like they shouldn't be teachers.
Mm-hmm.
También hay, and it's not. Don't get me wrong. It's not only education. It's everywhere. Pero
See. See. See.
it's everywhere.
Some people shouldn't be at Walmart.
Yes,
Yeah.
ándale.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
I know you mentioned Walmart. Like I think like I don't know if you were thinking the same thing, but like the greeters, I
Uh-huh.
think you were like
They're
you're
not
greeting.
greeting me.
They're not
They're
greeting me.
being
También
mean to me.
amargados.
Yeah,
¿Sí me
that's
entiendes?
what I mean.
Eso es lo que
Yeah.
voy. Pero tienes que entender capacidades, entender qué se requiere de ti, qué tienes que saber tú para poder hacerlo bien. And many people ahí es donde they're reluctant to
Mm-hmm.
want to spend the time to learn and build themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the I've worked with a lot of great individuals amongst those. I'm gonna mention one.
Mm-hmm.
I want to mention two. One of them is the Dr. Letty Roman,
Mm-hmm.
who man, she's a great mentor. But a second one who actually brought me in, took me under her wing, Dr. Marisol Rocha.
Mm.
Yo decía, yo le decía a ella, yo quiero saber qué es.
She's
Porque
amazing, dude.
yes, I wanted to move in, I wanted to be a principal. And you know, uh, I think I mentioned it to you before. A mí me dijeron, I'm gonna be 35 in a couple of months. Pero a mí me dijeron de frente, you're never gonna be principal. As long as I'm here, you're not gonna be principal because you're too young.
Yeah.
But I wasn't too young to do all these
See.
initiatives and help with all these initiatives and turn a campus.
Mm-hmm.
We turned a campus around, Pero I wasn't too young. So a lo que voy yo es, Dr. Marisol Rocha, yo le dije, me acuerdo que en una conversación le dije, yo quiero saber qué se necesita para ser un principal. So she afforded me those opportunities to show me what needed to be known. Because I think I wouldn't have known it just as an assistant principal. I think I would have, if I would have landed at that time a principalship, I would have lacked a lot of knowledge as to what I am required to do. But under her,
Mm-hmm.
she was a great mentor. She involved me in many things for me to know what it was required to be a principal. So being in this position, I'm rarely blindsided by a lot of the things because I was under a very good individual,
Yeah.
Dr. Marisol Rocha. So and I know she's doing a lot of great things, man. When she came on board, she nos abrió
La mente.
la mente, todo lo que.
No. And usually I try to stay away from names, but
I'm sorry.
no. But she's my current leader, man, and I've grown so much. Like
Yes.
I've felt and some at any time I get the opportunity to tell her, it's I do because I've grown so much. Like not just in who I am as a person, but like the way that I think and the way that I see education. And one of the things that was going to be my last bullet point on my piece of advice to people is make decisions because I learned this from her. Make decisions for the best interest of the child, not the adult,
Yes.
and that's so important.
And it's profound because a veces, my philosophy ahorita, as a educator is muchos de nuestras our employees, well, they're family people,
Mm-hmm.
family members,
Yeah.
and many a times you find yourself, okay, is this the best individual for our students?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that in leadership, you have to drive decision making for what's best, what's in the best interest of
Mm-hmm.
the student. And I think that if people are not looking out for the best interest of the student, then
Yeah.
maybe it's an opportunity to coach them up. Pero si no, maybe it's an opportunity for them to
Mm-hmm.
probably look somewhere else
Mm-hmm.
because our students need it, and
Mm-hmm.
it is our job as their leaders to make those types of decisions where we are looking out for the best interests of the student.
See, the best is what's best for them, and you know what works for them, and continue to learn more, little by little, learn more
Yeah.
of what's out there, because education has changed, people have changed, kids have changed. So how do you stay on top of things so that you start making the right decisions, not just decisions in general, but the right decisions that are going to impact kids the most. So I think that's very important. Um, if you made it this far, make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe to our podcast so you can enjoy a lot more of our conversations. Dr. Mauro, thank you so much for being here with me. It's been a pleasure. It's been an honor to have you. It's been fun. Um, I hope we can do this again.
Yes, sir. Thank you for the opportunity. I really enjoyed it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. Hey, you're more than welcome to join us. We have a list of things that we can talk about, and let's do it. I think um, we have such a repertoire of experiences that we can use that people can connect with. A lot of the times, we had an episode a couple of days ago, of weeks ago, on teacher hacks. So I ran into somebody, and they said, "Dude, what you said about the flushing of the restroom. I don't know if you saw that one." He's like, that's something that everybody thinks about, but nobody says." And that's the purpose of this, so that people can see themselves, so they can talk about, they can have a forum to share those experiences that you wouldn't normally think about or you wouldn't normally share with somebody. That's what we're trying to do here. So,
Awesome.
yeah, let us know. Let us know if you liked what we talk about. Thank you so much for staying. Make sure to hit the like button. Make sure to subscribe so that you can be with us next week. And we'll see you next week for another episode of Unrequested PD. Sir, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
We'll see
Appreciate
you.
it.
See you next week.